Baby, if you'd have told me that today I would be watching South Asian women and Scandinavian women come together to gather white women, I'd have told you you were a liar. But here we are. Because the edges that are being snapped over this Dupatta debacle, oh, sweetie, I am sat with popcorn in hand. Long story short, here comes Colonizer Barbie with the bullshit, co-opting the dupatta, which is a traditional piece of clothing. It is a scarf that is worn within Indian and other South Asian culture. It predates, like it goes back to the Indus civilization, like 2500 BC, okay? And here they come with the bullshit, trying to co-opt it and call it a Scandinavian scarf.
What are we classifying this wedding guest vibe as? Because I'm literally so obsessed. Something about the vibe makes it so special. But like, what is this aesthetic called? It's like not Scandinavian summer wedding, but it's very European, effortlessly chic, I guess I would say.
This piece of clothing is tied into resistance, it's tied into autonomy, it's tied into reclaiming of dignity. Like, this is more than just throwing a scarf over me like, oh, let's go get a matcha latte. And if that wasn't enough, here came Scandinavia with like, oh girl, hold my salted fish, because nobody told y'all to say that this was something on our behalf. Because Scandinavia, yes, it is a westernized society, right? It comprises of Denmark, Iceland, and Norway. However, they keep to a lot of their traditional nuances and cultural principles and don't play that shit. Do you know how annoying you have to be for people within your own demographic to be like, don't speak for us? Child, not the day before Jesus comes back. They literally banded together like the Avengers and said, absolutely not. I'm done.
Good people, welcome back to my channel. So it has been known that for ages, people have been knowing that, you know what, white people are fond of stealing fashion and culture from the colored people, and then they pretend that it is their own fashion or it is their culture. So in this video, I'll discuss about a certain issue that has been trending on TikTok, by the way, concerning these Indian, South Asian, actually they are South Asian fashion for women. The Gupta, is it Gupta scarf? Yeah, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think it's some Gupta. I think so. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if okay. This is what I'm saying. I don't know if white people have this is it a fetish? Should we call it a fetish? Yeah, maybe they have a fetish. They are fond of stealing, you know. Well, I'll discuss more about it later after we have watched the compilation of these videos. But before that, kindly, if this is your very first time watching me, consider subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, turn on post notification, that every time I post new videos, you'll be the first person to be notified. I'll get to watch my content. So guys, let us jump straight into the videos and I'll be back with further analysis.
Now let me get this straight. White American women are wearing the dupatta and rebranding it as the Scandinavian scarf. South Asian women, rightfully so, are making fun of these white American women by wearing our cultural attire and sarcastically calling it the Scandinavian scarf. Now, Scandinavian women have entered the chat and they're like, Scandinavian scarf who? We don't know her. Now, why are we in this? Oh man, I love TikTok. What South Asian women hurt you? It is moments like these that remind me that we are currently in what is called the karma of brown folk. The biggest takeaway that I got from the karma of brown folk was that people in the West, namely white people in the West, like the idea of what they think we are, and they hate the idea of who they think we are. But they don't know how to actually feel about who we actually are. If you've ever watched A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff, you remember that one scene where she's coming down the aisle, the staircase, and that girl is like, love the dress, hate her. Well, that's kind of like what it means to be a South Asian woman. Or people love what they think you have, but they don't like who they think you are. Enter the model minority myth. You have to prove that you are one of those good hardworking, successful South Asians in order to be good enough and deserving of respect. But once you achieve that status, they kind of resent you for it, because not only did you overcome the odds as an immigrant or as the children of immigrants, you surpassed expectations. Not only are they forced to respect you, they're forced to reckon with the fact that you did it better than they did. Even if you're low-key on the edge of unaliving yourself because you had to work so hard to prove that you're deserving.
You guys really want to know my thoughts on the Scandinavian scarf scandal? Because you might get your feelings hurt. You have to understand this about Indian people. We are very hospitable and we love to share. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with non-Indian people wearing Indian clothes, but the situation has to be appropriate. The reason that we're upset is because it still feels like you don't really like us. You say you wouldn't date us, but then you buy our hair. You say we're too dark, but then you go and get a spray tan. You say you like yoga and you love astrology, but then you tell Hindus that they're not going to heaven. Another reason we're all so upset is because we know that nothing is going to be done about it. If Reformation had chosen an Indian woman to be the face of that Sharara set, we would have loved them even more. They probably still will never do that. Reformation probably isn't going to come out and make a statement about it. And unfortunately, that's going to be okay. And everybody will forget about it, and it will continue to happen again and again. This isn't pessimistic thinking. This is me observing a pattern and a cycle that has been going on forever. One of my friends, Sirath, she literally made this amazing statement about how it feels like what we experienced as little brown girls growing up did not get any better. It almost feels like it's getting worse, and people are feeling the same things right now. So that is why it is such a big deal that you're wearing a dupatta. That's why.
I'm convinced white people say things are Scandinavian or from some Nordic country when they culturally appropriate things because it's their version of exotic, right? Like, at least from a United States, like American perspective, right? We don't learn a ton about like Nordic countries or Scandinavian countries from just from a historical, cultural perspective, right? Like, I live in New York. I've been to restaurants that have food from Uzbekistan, right? The most Swedish food I've had is in an IKEA cafeteria, right? Because y'all used to just appropriate shit and name random European countries. Like, it used to be, I can get cornrows because French braids, right? Now it's, Vikings. Vikings had cornrows and box braids, right? And then people who are, actually, from Nordic countries and, ancestors where Vikings have to get on here and tell you, like, one, Viking was not an ethnic group, it was an occupation. And two, no, they didn't fucking wear box braids. And then they show you what Viking braided hairstyles look like. It's like, if you want to wear a Viking braided hairstyle, wear this. Stop fucking appropriating, like, black people's hairstyles, right? And now y'all are getting on here wearing a dupatta and talking about, a Scandinavian summer dress. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, I saw somebody be like, it's just like wearing a pashmina or a shawl. No, it's not like wearing a fucking pashmina or a shawl. Like, your pashmina is not painstakingly made to match exactly with that dress. Okay, you go to like the store, you buy a blue pashmina and you wear it with every goddamn dress that you can that has blue in it. You know what I mean? The point of the pashmina is like for it to keep you warm when a breeze comes. The dupatta is like a scarf around your neck. And y'all want to argue with South Asian people talking about it's the same, people wear scarves. Yeah, people do wear scarves around their neck all the time. But it's okay to say where the fuck the inspiration came for. Y'all here wearing, like, was it last year? Y'all was out here wearing saris and calling them fucking Scandinavian dresses. Somebody was wearing, like, I forget what it's called, but, like, the men's, like, that long, patterned vest, calling it some Scandinavian shit. Like, y'all have to stop. Y'all have to stop. I saw somebody on here talking about their jumkas and calling them chandelier earrings. Like, if y'all don't, I swear, I don't know at what white people meeting y'all decided, like, Iceland, Norway, and Denmark were, like, exotic places that because y'all no longer, it wasn't cool to be, I don't know, French, Irish, or German. So it was just like, now, when we want to steal from people of color, it's just going to be from, Sweden.
Y'all remember that white woman who said our dupattas were giving like some sort of Scandinavian vibe? I have something that will make you all even more mad. So this is an Australian brand selling a jhumka with the name Farah Earrings, as you can see. And in the description, it says the Farah earrings will give a bohemian luxe feeling. And of course, once again, no credit to South Asian culture at all. What's crazy to me that is 40 pounds. 40 pounds for a pair of jhumkas. I can get this for 10 ringgit in Brickfields. Forget 10 ringgit, I can get it for 5 ringgit on Deepavali, okay? In Brickfields, you walk around Brickfields, you'll get this for 5 ringgit around the streets. And of course, the model has to be some light-skinned blonde woman because, you know, in Australia, there's no such thing as South Asian, Indian women, dark skin. None of that exists in Australia. Did you all know that? Anyways, I look forward to Diwali this year so I can see everyone in their Scandinavian outfits and their bohemian luxe earrings so they get a bohemian glow off of it.
It's not that deep, just give us credit. I mean, people love to slap other countries' names in front of things, you know, Korean skincare, Japanese hair perm, Turkish rug, Scandinavian hairline, French girl bob, European chic fashion. But you're telling me that when there's a piece that is so clearly South Asian inspired, you're gonna jump through every single hoop to avoid admitting that it's actually South Asian? And granted, I know that these names aren't always accurate, but why is everyone acting like calling something Indian is like getting the cheese touch? And listen, I get that there's a bigger conversation about like where, when, and who can be wearing these pieces, but at the bare minimum, can we finally admit that they're South Asian? This whole experience has really brought to light how much internalized racism people still have against India and other South Asian countries. And honestly, I don't know what the solution is.
This isn't the first time that South Asian fashion has been stolen and appropriated by Western culture. By now, you've probably seen the Ibiza summer fashion trends and the Scandinavian aesthetic that has been a huge controversy on the internet. These Western brands have ripped off South Asian culture without crediting it, and let me tell you why this isn't anything new. For a bit of fashion history, as we do on this page, Jamdani is a fine Muslim textile that is made out of a rare cotton that grew on the banks of the rivers of Bangladesh in the 1500s. This textile was considered one of the most valuable fabrics of its time, and it was used to make sharis and tunics while also being exported to the European aristocratic classes. This is a very labor-intensive hand-woven technique where you have to manually weave in each thread. So once the British colonized the Bengal region, it took control of the entire industry and forced weavers to import lower quality threads while producing a higher volume of jamdani at lower prices, which eventually pushed them into debt. So why I bring this up with the current controversy of the Ibiza Scandinavian aesthetic is because this is yet another tactic to push the original innovators off the map. That's why it's important to support the local South Asian brands so they don't go out of business instead of putting money in the pockets of brands that don't actually care. Hot take, but I think it's amazing that non-South Asian people are wearing our clothing, but only if they're authentically embracing our culture and giving us credit for it.
The dupatta is more than just an iconic piece of clothing that can be relabeled as a Scandinavian scarf. It's the symbol of resistance for South Asian women for centuries upon centuries. If you're confused about the whole Scandinavian scarf versus dupatta dialogue, here is a brief history of the dupatta. The actual word dupatta originates from Persian with du meaning two and patta meaning pieces of cloth. The earliest sign of the dupatta that can be documented is in these terracotta figurines depicting the Indus Valley civilization, which is 2500 to 1500 BC. It can also be seen in the Gupta period from 320 to 550 CE, in which they're wearing a dupatta as well as the two-piece that would eventually evolve into the lenga. In the Mughal era from the 14th century to the 19th century, we can really see the dupatta evolve into something that's luxurious, embedded with pearls, different colors, and really made to empower women and make them feel beautiful. Look at this beautiful style of draping. And this era was also where this beautiful style of anarkali dress.
Good people, welcome back to the channel, and allow me to say this. Why is it that people, especially the palm-colored people, they will go into maybe Africa, or maybe they'd go into Asia, they see something, and then they come back, and when they go back to their countries, they claim that it is theirs. I think a lot of fashion houses have had a rough time with online influencers and some other African natives on issues to do with fashion. Take it back to 2012 when I think it was Louis Vuitton. They made a scarf from Maasai Shuka. That Maasai Shuka is predominantly a Maasai culture found in Kenya and Tanzania. There were other companies like Chanel, companies like Gucci. They have, Louis Vuitton, I've mentioned it, they have been stealing fashion from other countries or other cultures, and then they pretend that they are theirs. Well, for instance, when you go to Southeast Asia, you'll find that these brownies have had a certain type of fashion, that's the dupta scarf worn by women, that has evolved maybe for ages, 150 years BC. It has been evolving and modernizing on its own. But when you see white people taking it and now they claim, you know what, this scarf is Scandinavian. No, it's not Scandinavian. I think they should stop. You know, at first, before they steal, and this is something that I came to realize, before white people steal your culture or your fashion, step number one is they will trash it first. They'll have to trash it. They'll have to pretend as if it is nothing. Like, you know what, your culture is shitty, you know, it is bad. Like, they'll just have to downgrade it. And then they will steal it. Yeah? They refine it and then they make it theirs. Well, I have no problem with Africans or Indian, Asians in refining their own culture. But as a white person, whom you once called that culture barbaric, and then here you come years later, you steal your descendants. All right, your descendants come and steal the same culture or the same fashion. They refine it and then they behave like, yo, you know what, this is ours. We all know people have been putting on scarves. Indian people have been putting on scarves. You know, there is a certain way of dressing. When you see someone dressing, you know, this person is African by descent. African people have a way of dressing. Like the bare chest, being bare chest, you know, and having ornaments, decorations. That's Africa. And there is a reason behind it. But then you find that some other people, they take it and then they start pretending like, no, this is ours. People who used to put on vests were black people. Black people used to put on the vests that were made of beads, especially East African. And then now, you guys are coming up with these vests. You're saying, yo, you know what? Vest is a white culture. It has never been a white culture. This is a culture that has been existing in East Africa. Go to the savannah lands of East Africa, the Maasais. Go to the Midikendes. All these Bantus, you know. These are people who have been... Yeah, and then there is a certain culture found at the Kenyan coast and the Tanzania coast. There is a certain cloth, it's called Kikoi. So Kikoi, I saw it somewhere. They'll pretend that they want to study more about your culture, but they're stealing it. Saw it in Netherlands. So I don't know what you think about this video, guys, but let us have the conversation going on in the replays, of course. I'll ask you most definitely to leave a comment. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on post notifications so that every time I post a new video, you'll be the first person to get notified about my content. Right about now, I hope to see you in my next video. This is Awaken Africa. I've been your host, Bear. Peace out.